I'm Andy Curtin. I've got my very good friend Mohammed Magdi here. How you doing?
I'm good.
How you saying your name today, you weirdo?
Yes. Mohammed Magdi!
You can find me online at Andy Curtin on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Facebook. I'm on the Facebook.
What was that?
I don't know. Dude, you're the one. You judging people and saying stuff weird. That's your whole shtick.
True.
How do people find you?
The other Mohammed on Instagram.
Yeah. You think that's a normal way to speak? The other
Mohammed. It's how you say it, actually.
Clean my microphone.
COVID. At the other Mohammed on Instagram, Mohammed Magdi on Twitter and Facebook.
And I've got a really, really good friend of mine on the pod today, Chris Musni. How you doing, man?
Hey, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
You don't want people to find you online.
Me. I'm having you, actually.
Yeah, we came to your house.
Yeah.
That's the kind of operation we run here.
Yeah.
We like to pick guests that can host us.
Well, it worked this time. You get some free food and drinks. Yeah, I see your system's working.
Dude, I would have started podcasting years beforehand if I knew I could get chocolate cake and tea like we had today.
That's the last time.
Hey, so you don't want people to find you online, do you? Do you have social media people follow?
Nah.
Not your thing.
Wow. So much for a comedian.
Well, I was just thinking my website was like taken over by some porn thing, and now
look
up chrismusni.com, you just see like Asian porn. Actually, it's better than ever now.
Yeah,
exactly. You
so-
finally get people to know who you are.
Well, I want to look at it myself. So
Yeah.
That's so funny. Look, the wife's out. Better jump on
.com.
Anyway, yeah, you got to stop typing CUM.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
A couple of quick announcements. If you like the podcast, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. We are launching a Patreon.
Woo!
This week, we're going to have bonus episodes for anybody that's on the Patreon. So finally got around to it. It's really good. You can find that patreon.com/hohopod, or it's in the description, all of that stuff.
The great thing about the Patreon is that you can lose another hour of your life and lose money.
Yeah.
Everyone's winning.
You pay money to listen to an even worse episode that we've put up. So, Chris, we got you on today because you are a passionate teacher in Hong Kong. And we wanted to talk about what's going on because we're in lockdown again. Obviously, that's affecting students. And also, there's big issues politically with like curriculum being changed. And you had a pretty interesting perspective on that. But so how long have you been? Well, let's start at the beginning. When did you come to Hong Kong?
Oh, a long time ago. I came here in 2006 after I graduated. So good 14 years.
Why did you come here?
I don't know. I just wanted to get out of the house, and I thought Hong Kong was a great place to live, just kind of an interesting culture.
Where
did you grow
the
up?
next street wasn't enough?
No, it was not. You haven't met my family.
How did you go out of your house? Like tunnel down?
No, I used the tour, but I definitely I'm from San Francisco.
Okay,
so that's where I'm originally from. And it's a great place, obviously.
Right.
So, it's not like you got to escape and see the
But
world.
back then, was it a big homeless problem like now? I've never been, but I follow the news. It's like, apparently it's really,
Was
really
it back
bad
then
now.
as well?
Yeah. As
2000.
far as I remember, it's been really bad forever.
So anyway, you came here 2006. Do you think the city's changed much since then?
Totally.
Like, what do you think has changed?
Totally changed. People realized that they could do things with their lives and make choices and
The people in the city, you think that like the perspective has
it's
changed?
totally different.
Is that an age thing?
I don't know. I think it's just. I don't think it's an age thing. I think you could learn that at any age.
Was that not the case when you came here?
No, when I came here, so I came here in 2006. When 2008 rolled around and they had the Olympics,
Yeah.
Everyone was so pro-China.
Right.
And I was kind of looking around. I was like, you guys know what they do, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm not going to bash a country and
That will imprison me for bashing it.
Well, I mean, every country has their thing, but I was like, if the U.S. does something great, I'll be like, well, they also have military base all over the world.
Yeah.
They just want to
Sure.
get oil in Iraq and some.
But I just think patriotism is a scam.
I agree.
It's a scam. Yeah. And so when 2008 came and everyone was like gung ho, I was like, don't forget, this the same place that does this and does that.
Did they have games here?
No, it was in
but
Beijing.
they would have the.
But it was
torch.
big for all over
Beijing.
China.
Okay.
It was big for all over
They
China.
have the torch passed around. They
Right, yeah.
runners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So people were super gung ho about that. And I think that there should be a sort of a recognition of a difference between something that's cool like the Olympics.
Yeah.
And like my country is really great and and good, and I should be
But
nationalistic.
isn't that like a paradox in itself? Because the Olympics is all about representing your country and being like proud of it and being patriotic.
You know
and
what?
all
I
of
think
that.
it's something deeper than that. And the more I've like worked in the marketing aspects of what we do, the thing that I really realized is the thing that people connect most with is a story, and a story that they can be a part of and get
Yes.
behind. And that's what nation building is. It's just you got to. In fact, I think that's what the communists are more than anything else. Is they create a narrative. They look at everything that happened. They're like, all right, here's the story arc that we're all connecting with. Here's how you connect with it. And people just, in absence of, they have a need to connect themselves to a story, I think. I think that's why it's such a big deal.
Yeah, if you want to go one level deeper, you can say that about religion as well.
100%.
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
Dude,
It's like
religion, sports teams,
Yeah.
anything where you like, that's what a sports team is.
Yeah.
You track the players, you see their trials and tribulations, you go there and support them.
Yeah.
Like you would invest yourself in that story. That's why sport exists as entertainment.
That reminds me of the great when Steinfeld was talking about sports team, like we won. Like no, they won.
Yeah.
You watched.
Yeah,
You
right?
watched.
There is a
But
great,
dude,
yeah.
but how is that about, you talk about like identification, like
Yeah.
that identification, like you thought you had anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Doug Stanhope has this brilliant bit about the patriotism when he talks about like being proud and things you've never achieved.
Yeah.
And just like, rambling about things.
totally.
It's such a good bit.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always say that when people are like,
Yeah.
I'm so proud of my country for doing this. Like, the word proud is a tricky one.
Yeah.
You ever see someone say they're proud of someone else? It's weird because it sort of implies that you had a part in it.
Right.
Right? Because it's like you can be proud of your kids because it's like they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me.
Right.
But if you like known someone for a few weeks and you're like, yeah, I'm really proud of you for getting that job. It's like, what did you do about it?
And I think there's even a difference. Like you can be proud for supporting a sports team
It's not
because you're in the
definitely that.
stadium
It's
and
not-
you're cheering them on. But to be proud of a war that your grandpa fought, I'm not sure about this one. Like, all right, he fought some other idiots and
But
they
you got to
killed each
have a
other.
line. There has to be a line, right? Like
Yeah.
where do you? Because it's not linear.
True.
You can't go the opposite direction.
yeah.
So it's like we got to have a cutoff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If we don't
pride
have
line?
any-
The pride line, yeah. Like how many
maybe-
generations back?
You know what? We could have a whole 7 days where we push this idea on people. We'll call it Pride Week.
Oh yeah, that's in June.
hasn't been taken yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what Pride Week's actually about?
I think the
thought it was-
hashtag is already taken. And I know some people who are very, very, very mad. If
It was
we
just
use
a bunch
for
of gay
something else.
guys being like, we just say you can't be proud of us for doing this because you guys didn't help. Anyway, so tangential. So were you always a teacher? Did you sit?
Honestly, I don't remember applying for the first job I got here.
Just don't remember.
I remember them contacting me for an interview.
Were you boozing back then? Was that like a party
No,
time?
I never really boozed, but I've always been really absent-minded. So I miss dates, forget things, important, whatever.
Yeah,
Have you never drank? Like you drink a little bit,
I drink
right?
a little. Yeah,
No, he drinks.
Yeah,
But you're never like a big drinker.
no, my family's genes is just bad. Like all of the
Yeah, same.
everyone in my
It doesn't
family,
stop me.
they-
Yeah,
well,
that's your entire country.
should.
That's not your family.
By family, I mean the country of which I'm proud.
Here it is. Yeah. I don't know if you have been to Southeast Asia, but you bunch are not making a good reputation there.
Yeah, well, I'm proud of that.
yeah, as
So-
you should be.
So you don't remember getting the first job, but it was a teaching job.
It was a teaching job.
Did you want to be a teacher? Was it like,
No, I just wanted to come here and live here, and that was the only gig I could get. I couldn't think about doing anything else.
but because it's interesting because of the teachers that I know, there's certainly the vast majority are just doing it because it's the easy thing to do.
Yeah.
But like you are, I would guess a very good teacher. Like you care about it a lot.
I like the job. I don't want to do another job.
But do you like the job because it's your job, or do you like the job because you got to like teaching as you did it?
What was the first point?
Yeah. What?
Just because it's your job, like just because it's your job.
Did
and
you
you're
say
like,
or?
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
You know, you can
Interviewing with Mo. Do you like this wall?
You know,
Because
you
it's
can
a
start
wall.
job. Let's say you become a plumber, and you had no idea about plumbing, but you got really into it once you start plumbing, and that's like your thing now.
That totally, actually, that's exactly what happened. Because
Right.
I just wanted a job.
Right? Yeah.
And then honestly, for the first few years, I just kind of ho-hum about it, like
Yeah.
whatever. And then I realized,
I've
I
been
really
there.
like
Yeah.
this. And then,
Okay,
yeah,
that
and
was-
then
that
you
answers
push
my
it.
question.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
But that happened sort of through the back door because I didn't realize I was
Hashtag
just
Pride Week.
I'm leaving that in. So
Yeah, leave
it.
just because I get along with students. And I always thought that was just me just like fucking around a little bit.
Right.
Just like joking around in class.
Yeah.
But then I realized actually that's a major component
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
the
you're just
job.
connecting with them, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to have a strong, relationship with them because if they don't like you, they won't learn from you.
I can't imagine. What age? Have you done
All
different
of
ages?
all of high school. I mean, I did primary stuff a long time ago, but yeah, recently high school.
What do you
Yeah.
prefer
High school
more?
student. Oh, high school students for sure.
Why?
Because you
that?
can speak to them.
For one thing, they don't have boogers and snot all over their fingers, touching everything.
You didn't know me in high school, clearly.
Most of them.
Dude, I met him 7 years ago. You should have met him then. He would have been just like your primary school student.
Just before I got here.
You're like, thanks for the beard comb.
yeah. I'm sort of going to wipe that off my face now. And you were always doing local schools?
Always local schools, yeah.
So what's the universe here? There's like fancy ass international schools that are predominantly local kids in the schools, but they're like, pitched as something else, and they're super expensive.
I know of those schools. I've been there, but I've never taught there. I've taught.
That's like a whole different universe, yeah.
Completely different. Like, I mean, those kids, like, they're going to be fine. They're pretty well off.
You
But
think
I
there's a
do-
big difference in the schools?
Huge. Are you talking about like international schools?
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, like the
much
top
better
tier
off.
schools here. Like what is the biggest one? AIS
What's
or
the-
whatever it's called? ALS? I have no idea. There's like a school with 3 letters. That-
They are
ESF.
ESF. There it is.
ESF.
He was trying to name a school.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, there's. Do you know the bandings? Do you know about the bandings? There's band 1, band 2, band 3. And so the band 1 obviously is of the elites. Usually the parents will.
This is like a level of school.
Oh yeah.
So like the top level is like Hong Kong International School, right?
I don't know.
That's
if
like
they're,
a
actually, I don't know if they're
5
in the bandings. I think this is more for the government schools.
Because
but-
Hong Kong International School, I think they pay $5 million debenture at birth to be able to go
Wow,
there.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, because I never worked in that.
Dude,
system.
up front at birth, 5 million Hong Kong dollars they have to put down. How's the business model on that school? Just
Yeah.
babies, parents of newborn babies, just giving you $5 million.
Yeah, and you're just making interest on that until the kid
Yeah,
goes
dude,
to
they don't
school?
pay them back with interest. They
Yeah.
pay back $5 million 13 or 18 years later.
That's a lot of money.
So much money.
Just I'm
getting
thinking
tough.
just from the business point of view.
Dude,
you're making a
plenty
lot of
of-
money on interest.
Plenty of those kids wouldn't end up going there.
Right, yeah.
But that tells you where the family's coming from, though, right? So that kids will be fine, no matter
Either
how much
way,
they
yeah,
fail.
Wow.
They get drunk and
Depends what you mean by
never go to-
fine.
Like they'll always have opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, because what I've experienced, because I've had different bandings. I've been in all 3 types of schools.
So in the public schools, there's bands.
Yeah, there's
And-
bands, and you could tell there's a big difference usually in the socioeconomic status of the families.
Are they the different price? That's what the difference is?
No, they're not different price, but usually you get in a higher band. Usually those families will be better off.
Like they're more well off. How do they determine that?
One of them is location. This is getting to areas I don't really know because this is about intake.
Okay.
Huh.
Location determines where you can go to school, and also your results in the how well you do in
That's
school.
really interesting because in mainland China it's the same, but it's within the province itself. Like for example, the Hoko, which is like their national ID, dictates where the kid goes to school. Like if you have a Shanghai Hoko, for example, you can't go to school in Hangzhou or Suzhou or Beijing.
Well, you can't. You can pay for it, but you can't get any like government assistance.
Right, yeah, but I thought within Hong Kong it's like one city. But is it within the districts? Like if you're born in
Yeah, there will be
Tsim Ta Tsui, you
districts-
have to go within the Tsim Ta Tsui public school system?
Districts do matter here. Some people will
okay.
move districts so that their kid could get to a specific school or specific area.
I know ESF, you can only go to the ESF in your district. You can't go to a different one. You can't just pick which one you go to.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay.
You
Do they have
have
many
to-
different
There's one.
branches of
There's
it?
the whole city is covered.
Oh, okay. I see.
But as for intake, yeah, I don't really. That's not really.
Whatever. Anyway, it's
don't do
interesting
that.
to know. I don't know anything about it, but
Yeah.
and so it's been a pretty crazy period, right? Like at the moment. So we're back in lockdown. It's so weird because all these places, like what's going on in Hong Kong? All these places are doing fine. Australia's doing fine. Australia's like going back to normal. And now, yeah, dude. And now we're here.
I know New Zealand is doing really well.
Oh yeah, they've been killing it for ages. But Australia was bad. Like Melbourne had 700 or 800 cases a day, and they got it down to 0. And now they're fine.
Dude, my
How the
my
hell is
friend-
Hong Kong get stuck back in a
Doing
way?
well means nothing has happened. So you know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah, but why is it that Taiwan and even Thailand is doing vastly better than Hong Kong is at why haven't they been able to keep it under control here? Why do they keep having these outbreaks?
I don't know.
As someone who's
Good
been here
question.
for a long time, do you think there are key factors of failure when it comes to controlling crisis management here?
I don't know because you'd have to compare it to how everyone else does stuff. But just, I mean, everything is anecdotal that I think of. But just walking around, people, just don't want to follow the rules. People taking off the masks everywhere.
Here?
People
Here,
very chill.
that's very surprising to hear. Compared to
dude,
the US or even Egypt, where every day, just this is a little tangent, but our most prized national hero is Mo Salah, who plays for Liverpool. Huge figure. He's worth billions of dollars on his own. He went to Egypt to attend his brother's wedding, and he got COVID there. He's the one we're supposed to protect the most. But this is how rampant it is in the country because no one gives a fuck, even around our most treasured player. And it's as opposed to here, where everyone is wearing masks the whole time. I'm surprised that you're saying that it's people are not following the rules.
Well, I mean, just going around when people are drinking and stuff. I mean, that's why.
Oh, you
the
mean
latest-
expats?
Yeah, expats. Also, some locals. I mean, it's better here than other places for sure. But it's just human nature not to want to wear a mask. I'll be fine.
Yeah, I think also there's definitely a factor of when the numbers are low, people see that and they consider it. I noticed each time that we've been getting close to 0, people start to relax.
Yeah, no, for sure.
People start to relax ahead of being told to relax.
Yeah.
Definitely. But that makes sense. But anyway, whatever. It's not like you're in a position to have more answers about it. But we're in a situation now where the bars are closed, restaurants are down to 2 people at a table, huge restrictions, and the schools are closed. By the way, so my kids are in kindergarten and nursery. It's officially closed, but they just call it childcare, and everything's the same.
Huh?
Do they still charge?
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, they're there. Everything's normal.
What
Kids
is it?
are being
Is it
dropped.
just the branding or the legal position?
Nothing's changed from
So
our
I don't get
perspective.
they're still
Yeah,
charging. And
exactly. They're still charging, and it's not a kindergarten anymore, but it's a
Well,
childcare.
yeah, but I think, I'm not saying that this makes any sense,
Yeah.
but I think that they've said that schools are closed, but childcare facilities aren't closed.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So they're like, okay, so now we're a childcare facility. That's what we're offering.
Yeah, and then do you test if your kids learned anything that day?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't
Not
learn
learn
anything
anything.
anyway.
they're learning
Yeah.
way less than when it
Yeah.
was in
If you
kindergarten.
learn something, they might get COVID. That's what you're worried about.
Yeah, I believe that education and COVID are closely correlated.
Obviously.
Are you on Zoom lessons now?
Yeah, most of them are Zoom because Form 6, the last class, Form 6, they still go to school now. So we have those normal
What? Wait,
classes.
just that 1 year?
Just that one. I think they're
What's
worried-
Form 6? Is that
It's
eight-
like seniors.
18-year-olds, 17-year-olds?
17, 18.
Last year. Is
Last
it?
year.
Okay. Yeah.
And they still have school. I think the thinking is that they're having public exams.
So there's no way they can get COVID.
Exactly.
Is that for college
They know
admission?
science and stuff. so
Yeah, that
they'll be
makes
fine.
sense.
Is that for college admission?
Yeah, they're going to prepare
So they
for
can't
that.
delay, basically.
Yeah, and last year was kind of a disaster for them. 'cause
For the
it was
protests.
No, I mean during COVID because everything was closed and they couldn't prepare for their exams.
So what
Last
happened?
year.
Yeah.
When was the exam?
I
January
think
or
it started
something?
in May.
Really?
Yeah, and then they had like RTHK episodes about teachers driving around to find students. And
Oh, you
going
mean like
over
this
notes
year,
and stuff.
earlier this year, right? Not or last school.
Yeah, but he
That's
means like the,
academic.
Last
the
school
previous
year. Got it,
academic
got it.
year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how did that pan out? Like, are those kids all just screwed? Like, so important your final year.
Yeah, I guess they just they still had exams, but they were limited,
Yeah.
and they couldn't prepare.
Do you
properly.
know how the kids went? Was it like a normal year in terms of the results?
Oh no, I have no idea.
They don't give you that information.
They do, but I didn't. I'm not,
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Not my problem anymore.
Yeah.
not my problem.
Yeah, I taught them with the ABCs. I am done.
Yeah.
Chalk drop.
So how
Like,
much?
what about D? Bye.
Bye.
So how much are you also changed in the academic year? You changed schools, right?
Yes.
So how much of this year have you been on Zoom?
Mostly not on Zoom. It's just this last week and the first 2 weeks of the school year. So in September, first 2 weeks was Zoom, and then that's pretty much it.
Do you like it?
No, nobody likes Zoom. Nobody wants to do a lesson by Zoom. But it's okay. It's better than nothing, I suppose. Yeah. But there's a lot of trouble with it, especially if they're younger. They don't listen. Students don't listen, and they could turn off their mic or go to the bathroom. You don't know they're not there or whatever. Yeah. So kind of a pain in the butt in that.
So you
regard.
got to sit there and teach it, and you got to watch them all.
Yeah, you got to watch them all if they turn their camera on.
So
Some
if they don't
kids
turn their
don't.
camera on, then
That's the difficulty I'm having with now. So I'm trying to think about how to. Maybe I got to call their parents, and they're going to speak Chinese, maybe. So then I have to figure out how to do this. Yeah, so that's the problem with Zoom.
do you ever try to speak Cantonese with the parents?
Yeah, I have. This is the first school I've actually tried to do that. It works. It's okay, but it's a lot of pressure because parents are often trying to sort of, I don't want to say blame, but find the reasons why their children aren't doing so well in quizzes and their
And
marks.
then change those reasons to being you.
Exactly. Yeah. How come she got this on her marks? I was like, well, does she do the homework? Does she read? No. Okay. Well,
She turned off her camera, so.
yeah, I can't even see her camera.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. So do you think that they're going to be like how bad is it for them, like in terms of their school career?
Really bad. I think it's really
Like
bad.
what's the problem?
I think the number one thing is that you can't give them help. In the classroom, you could identify who needs what. Like one of the things that we do is like you see where the kids are, like emotionally, what kind of personality they have.
Right.
Teach them responsibility, how to act socially, socially healthily. But you can't do any of that now.
You only teach English, right?
Only English.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you go beyond teaching the language, like as you just said, like you work with them on like behavior aspects or things like that?
Yeah, tons of stuff. Basically, sometimes I don't know if I should mention this. Okay, one guy had. I won't say the specific.
If you start a sentence with that, then you should definitely mention it. It's good for the podcast.
He had a problem with the fear of not death, but not existing.
Right.
This is a real.
How much
phobia.
acid did he take before class?
I wasn't helping advise
The fear
with
of
that.
not, wait, but is that like the fear of not existing after death?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't even afraid of dying. Because at first I was making sure you're not suicidal.
Right. Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm fine."
That's
Yeah.
a legitimate fear.
And
I can
and
get
then so
behind
we
that.
figured out it's only existential. His problem. He's really like one of those heady kind of guys.
Right.
And
Cerebral?
so, really cerebral.
Mm.
And so
I like
tried
that.
to
I like
work
the
with him.
description. Heady.
Yeah.
It's a great
He's
word.
one of those thinky people.
Yeah. It's like
This part
brainy people.
Yeah. Hey, I guess you're helping him out with your English teaching there.
Yeah. I can't believe he said heady.
Oh, you guys haven't heard that before?
No, I've never heard it before.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I'm the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really he's really like that. But the point is, so yeah, to your question, make sure he's not suicidal was the
Right.
first one, and the second one was I had to get into some research about people studying this to help him learn how to cope with it.
He's the
Right.
opposite to suicidal, by the way.
Like he should kill himself?
No. No. He's afraid of what'll happen after he's dead. He's going to do everything to not die. Guy's going to wrap himself up in cotton.
He's not afraid of dying.
He's afraid
exactly.
for not existing, right?
No, but if he was suicidal, he might want to kill himself. But if he's afraid of not existing after dying, he's not going to kill
He's
himself.
gonna try to hang on to existing
Oh.
for
It's
as
like
long
if
as
you're
possible.
afraid of
Okay.
heights, you're not going to go up on a mountain.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
right. That's true. So he will. He won't.
He's the least likely to kill himself.
So he could extend this miserable
Yeah, yeah.
life.
Yeah,
That
well, it's better than not existing, apparently.
On the same topic, I think I read something about like the mental health, the collective mental health of students this age here in Hong Kong is pretty bad, isn't it? Like there is a pretty high suicide rate and depression and stuff like that in Hong Kong, like as in comparison to like other developed countries. Is that correct?
I don't know the numbers, but from what I see in schools, it wouldn't be surprising that it's really bad. I think there's a lot that schools could do here to improve that.
Okay, then I think that's a good topic to get into. Like, what do you think is causing this? Just the main factors you think?
Culture, the Hong Kong school culture, it doesn't evolve. It's really stuck in the old days. When I first got here in 2006, what would happen in my school was there would be the principal. There would be I don't think you've heard this before, discipline master. It's like the dean of the school. We call him the discipline master.
Does he spank them? Is he the guy with the paddle?
Probably used to.
Yeah, right.
Like he had like a big ruler or something,
brass
and he was
nut-
just like,
Oh,
Guy had brass knuckles and a cat of nine tails.
you know, you're joking.
Yeah.
These guys were.
Oh, no, I'm not joking.
They were like,
Dude,
talking
corporal
about-
punishment? My brothers got hit.
Yeah,
in school.
dude, I got hit in school.
No, did you
school?
actually get hit
Yeah,
in
I
school?
did.
All right.
Yeah, it's welcome to Egypt. It still happens until now, by the way. This
Really?
is not. Yeah. It's completely
but
normal.
you know, you turned out pretty good. So
Oh, sure.
it's not a complaint, right?
Except
for
for
me-
except for that left leg that doesn't work.
I'm
discipline
left-handed.
leg.
Actually, here's a true story. I'm left-handed, and they used to hate me until I was like P2 for using my left hand instead of my right hand.
What's
Wow.
P2?
Like
Primary?
primary school, like second grade, basically,
Okay.
primary school,
Yeah.
because I'm not normal.
Oh, because you don't use the right hand.
Because I'm not using the right hand. Because also there's like the religious aspect of it is like if you're using your left hand, then the devil is possessed you or whatever.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
the devil was pretty creative. so
Yeah,
I could
he's
see
not
him
good-
being left-handed.
well, but he wasn't ambidextrous. That's the one thing we know about Satan. Lucifer, good with right hand.
Oh, okay.
Not so
Yeah.
good with the left.
I'd be more worried about finding a kid with a hooved foot.
Or like a goat leg.
Like they're hitting him for using his left hand,
Yeah.
and the kid who's like a goat from the waist down is like, "Yeah, get him." Are those horns on your head? I don't know, but
No, but he's left-handed. So yeah, discipline master.
I don't think you're going to be impressed with any of my woes of Hong Kong.
No,
school
go,
life.
go,
no,
go,
I mean,
go,
He's
go.
from Egypt.
No, it's already. This is.
Yeah, why the fuck did I bring more on the podcast? We're like, yeah, I think it's half as students. Well, were they driven into the ground by dung beetles? Were they forced to eat sand and like pyramid?
Every podcast should not just be a podcast with me. Like the worst version of whatever topic you're talking about. I have
bringing
it.
guests on to try and talk about their trials and tribulations and having my home go, oh, really? Well, guess what happened to me when I... So the disciplinary
What they'll do is the discipline master principal and a class teacher, homeroom teacher, they'll basically team up, 3 of them on one, on each side of a student. It would be a girl, maybe, I don't know, maybe 12, 13, 14 years
Oh,
old.
jeez.
Man, that's
It's like
not
a very
cool.
vulnerable
Full
age.
volume screaming
Yeah.
at the kid, taking turns, like tag teaming.
Yeah.
And
This is
she
a strategy they
It's
use?
the strategy they would typically use, and it was just normal because you'd see it every day. And girls just tears streaming down her
Yeah.
face.
Oh, man.
Nowhere to go.
I couldn't put my kid into that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not as bad. I haven't seen that since switching to other schools, and I think that principal was kind of old school, so they don't do that anymore. But that culture remains. The authority is like really powerful, and you can't question it.
Confucianism.
Yeah, but in Confucianism, you're supposed to respect your elders, but I don't get any of that.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's kind of like the military thing, though. It's like respecting the rank. You ever hear that?
right. Yeah.
It's like you don't
Yes.
you don't respect the person, but there's a way that you're supposed to behave.
Yeah.
There's things you won't do to someone who's above you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we have that for sure, but it's sort of enforced. How to say? It's enforced really, not physically, obviously, but stringently.
Yeah.
They very stringently enforce that. So like I'm not into any of those things. Even like yelling.
Do they love you?
At students. I think so. I think I'm pretty popular with students usually, but also it's so much more difficult for me to discipline the classroom.
Right.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they see you as
That's
the cool
my-
teacher.
Yeah.
Dude, that's my biggest nightmare. I have 2 kids. I can't handle them.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, hey guys, do this. They're like, no. I was like, well, I've tried everything. It's not working.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting segue though, because one of the big things, certainly something I worry about, and a lot of the parents that I speak to worry about, is this idea that China is going to change the curriculums in the schools, that Beijing's going to have an influence over what's being taught, which is definitely a thing. But when I asked you about it, you were like, that's not a big concern. That's not the main concern.
Yeah. Not for me.
Yeah.
Actually, because we make decisions every day without having historical facts. There's so many historical things we don't know about.
There's so many historical things that you don't teach anyway. Really.
There's so many things just from time. You don't have enough time to teach everything. So it's not like we're going to miss something. The point is,
and the consequence of missing it isn't that your children are going to then be able to think or look it up if they want to.
Yeah. Now I think that's the ultimate. That's the crux of my argument, is that they should be able to form an opinion and to know how to get information that will not necessarily support that opinion, but will make sure it's triangulated, make sure it's accurate. But they don't know how to do that. I have a student.
So does anybody know how to do that anymore?
Well, this one student's pretty bad. It's at my current school, and he'll come up to me and talk to me about, how Biden's molested so many people. He's a liar. Why don't you support Trump? Trump should be the next president.
So there's a lot of Trump support within the Hong Kong population, right?
A lot of. I couldn't believe how much Trump support there is among students.
It's weird, and they're obviously not American.
They're not American.
Well,
and,
but the Republicans have been so critical of mainland China, right?
You think
Yeah.
that's the factor, or like an aspect of it? Is that like because
Definitely for some
Yeah,
people,
okay.
yeah.
Definitely. But they're taking that at face value.
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
That's
of
the
course,
thing.
yeah.
And they don't realize that's just a political game as well.
is there much room for like debate culture here?
Arguing.
Well, not
We
arguing.
have
That's the
that.
thing. There is a difference between arguing and debating, right?
Yeah.
Is there like a healthy debate, like classes even in school here?
Critical thinking.
You know,
Critical
To
thinking,
be
exactly.
honest, I'm not even really big on debate just because the point is to win. It's just like a lawyer. The point's to win. The point's not to be truthful.
Right.
But the answer to your question, no, not really.
Yeah.
And also, there's not much chance for communication.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Usually, there's an authority, and I'm trying to prove.
No,
my
with 9
point.
tones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
But it's hard to communicate. Like, so this boy with the Trump Biden
Right.
stuff, he just doesn't take my word for anything.
Right.
And I'll ask him, where do you get your information? He'll just be like, YouTube,
Yeah. Right.
and that satisfies him. And that's one of the problems, I think, in school. We don't teach them how to search for information.
Yeah.
Well, also, there's this weird thing that's happening now is where people will decide that news or facts from one place are
Yeah.
all true and from another place are
They're all false. Yeah.
Right.
And the idea, they're like this nuanced analysis of like understanding that someone that you believe or even like could actually be wrong about some parts or
Yeah.
even be lying about some parts.
When you look online at like people going into an argument like that, your student saying Trump is like supporting Trump, he has already made up his mind.
He's already made up his mind.
Yeah, there is
Yeah.
nothing you can do to change it.
So, but just going back to the point though, because I said to you, you're worried about the curriculum change, and you said no, there are some issues in here in the way things are being taught. Like, what do you think are the biggest problems?
I think the biggest problem is the culture in the school is to be taught. You are taught to fall in line. And you have to just follow orders. And that's not just in the classroom. That's how the staff structure works also, from the administration on from
I
the top
bet
to
you
the
love
bottom.
that.
Every day. Every day. But yeah, that's the biggest thing, is that you just have to blindly follow what people tell you to do. And I'm all for working with the team. Like sometimes I'll take your word for it and we'll do it. But not 100% of the time.
Right. Not blindly following whatever instructions
Yeah.
that are given
Yeah,
to
imagine
you.
Chris
Yeah.
at work. Karen's like, I think we should have pizza today. Oh, fine, Karen.
I'm very passive aggressive.
Yeah. Of course, you want to have pizza. That's how you look like that. No, that's more aggressive, I think.
Okay.
So, is this different? I mean, is this an Asian problem? Because I think in Asia,
I feel like, in China, there is a lot of that. It's exactly the same thing.
there definitely seems to be a cultural difference between, like I was talking to some people about the face masks as an example.
Yeah.
Right. When China and I think most Asian countries were told by their governments to wear masks, everybody was like, yeah, we wear masks.
Yeah.
Of course we do. You know, and that obviously there was a strength to that in that example.
Yeah.
And then in the West, people like, oh, you're violating my rights.
Right. There is
And
debate,
it's like, well,
right? Yeah.
your rights aren't the most important thing right now. And it's been catastrophic. But I thought that it did reveal that difference.
That's a
right?
great
That,
point.
like, cultural difference.
It's like where is the line between like when following the orders is a good thing, like everyone wear a mask and everyone's like, yeah, okay, but it's not even because they think it's good for them. It's because the authority told them to do so.
Is it- is
but
this
it
a-
happens
Right.
to be good for them.
That's right.
Versus everyone is an individualistic, like, oh no, my rights, and then they fuck up.
Because I would say that having lived in Shanghai for 10 years, that Hong Kongers seem to me to be relatively individualistic.
Right.
They do actually seem to think for themselves.
Yeah, which
Compact.
on the mask topic happened to make the right choice.
Yeah, but
And
then they're
everyone,
not- they're
this
not-
is why everyone is wearing a mask.
They'll step into line when it makes sense. It makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
But do you think this is a problem with the schools, though? Like, is this something the schools could solve?
I think so. Yeah.
What are
I
the
mean,
schools doing wrong?
You could actually the school. I mean, you're a student there for 6 years, and if you can manipulate the culture. You can manipulate the culture of the school. If you're a principal, you could change it. And if the students are there for 6 years in their formative years, that
Yeah.
will influence them heavily in everything from diet
Yeah.
to how they approach their studies,
Yeah,
how
to
they
sports
prepare
or
for
whatever.
things,
Yeah.
Is
sports.
diet a problem? I feel like they eat pretty.
Huge problem. Oh man, we just reheat frozen food in the tuck shop and sell it to students, and they eat it every day.
Yeah, gross.
It's
Ew.
super unhealthy.
Yeah.
And it's really bad for the environment.
Yeah.
Someone should give it up for a week or so.
That's a great idea, actually.
you.
Did you just come up with
I
that?
just did.
Do you think it's different in the international schools?
I think so. I've been to KG5, and they'll have like some healthy options for food and stuff like that. I don't really know much about it, but I assume it might be.
I just imagine that's Garen's school, right? King George V.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's
And
where he
Cassie
went.
there too, right?
Yeah, they both went
they're in
there.
the same school.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's ESF. That's an ESF school.
Okay.
And I thought they have like a dining hall, like a butler pulls that, like, you know, the silverware, the
Yeah.
big,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
big
and if
lid.
he makes eye contact with you, he gets fired. Really swanky.
the staff fall into line
Yeah,
pretty
they
well
do.
there.
So as a teacher, where do you think how do you teach kids to think for themselves without fucking up the culture of follow orders if it's good for you?
That's a great question. That's why I've had to switch schools so many times.
Because you haven't been able to answer that question?
I can do it now. No, it's,
Yeah, okay.
it's because I would not get along with my superiors.
Okay, yeah.
One school I left because I didn't like the principal where he was going. I mean, he was okay, but I didn't think he could lead well. And the other ones, I would just, run into some bitches
Yeah.
and stand my ground. And you can't do that if they have,
Yeah.
power over you. So
Yeah.
I wasn't able to stay there. But now I think I could do it.
Okay.
Now I'm like, okay, you gotta not rock the boat
Yeah.
and sort of see what you can win over and how you can
You
win
pick your
over.
battles,
You
basically.
pick
But
your
that's exactly
battles,
what
yeah.
you're talking about teaching them. It's like critical thinking doesn't mean being unable to work in a team.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
means being able to analyze the situation and look at the desired outcome and, manipulating things towards your...
Absolutely.
Your
And
goal.
but it also talks about being able to notice yourself and where are your flaws, what things you can work on.
Yeah.
And that's something that schools that haven't really, I don't think they really touch on that either. Like,
I just think they don't teach anything right in school. Like, I studied Latin for 6 years. They didn't teach me anything about how to save or like money, all the things that I would have been
Yeah,
that
like the things that are
I then
useful.
had to go and like educate myself about.
Yeah.
Yeah, or anything about like your emotional health, how to take care of
Mental
yourself,
health,
mental health.
yeah, money management, mental health, things that will actually matter.
All of this
As
stuff
soon
that
as
I
you go into the real world.
Yeah, you had to have
No,
10 years
nothing.
of drinking and screwing all this up to be like, oh.
Yeah, algebra.
Totally. Yeah.
That's helped me when they stole my passport in Vietnam.
Yeah,
No, it
For
didn't.
real, no. Honestly, I think a big thing they could do is teach everyone how to calm down and how to manage their
regular.
emotion.
Oh, dude.
I
yeah.
genuinely think, like, mental health. If you teach it to kids at this age, like just how to accept failure, how to accept love,
Yeah.
how to deal with loss, things like that.
Yes.
Like really
Yeah.
simple. How not to panic in
That's right.
certain situations.
That's right.
I read this really good article about how Inuits to teach their kids. They never get angry with their kids. And it's sort of like, I don't know if they said it like this, but this is my takeaway, is like, when you discipline kids, you're not teaching them what you say, you're teaching them how you say it.
Yeah.
Like they see what it looks like when you get into a frustrating situation and how you respond in a
That's right.
frustrating situation.
Yeah.
So if you flip out at them, then when they feel like they're in a similar situation, that's how they're going to respond.
Yeah.
And the Inuits, by regulating their emotions, and the kids can see like, oh, he's really pissed off right now, but he's controlling his speech.
That's what I'm getting at.
You're showing them by example how you regulate emotions.
Yeah, so when we lose our shit over their exam or whatever,
Yeah.
we show that that's important, but not what I think about you.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not important. And you know that Maya Angelou quote where I paraphrase it, but she's basically like, people won't remember what you did, but they'll remember how they made you feel.
Yeah, I saw that recently,
And
actually.
it's so true. Like, think about all your teachers in school. Do you remember anything they taught you?
No, I never.
I remember their attitude.
I don't
Yeah.
I remember the ones who were shit. Like not by teaching, but just like I didn't like them.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And you don't learn anything from the ones you
No,
don't like.
no.
You just avoid them at all costs.
Right. And I didn't learn anything from the ones I liked either. But I liked them and
You
I
might
picked
have.
up something.
But you're an idiot.
Yeah.
No, but I might have like picked up something from them, not the subject they were teaching, but I might
Yeah.
have picked up some behavioral thing from them because I like them. That's
the
what I
thing.
meant.
That's the thing. And that's
Yeah,
actually
you
the important-
emulate people that you see have got it going on. Like they're
Right.
doing something the right
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
There's one in one of my old schools, and I was talking to a student, and the student really just started jostling around and ran behind a column, stood behind a column. It's like, what the hell's going on? I look, and it's the discipline master was coming down the stairs, and they went to go get out of the eye
Yeah.
line of the discipline master. And I was thinking, this is a person who will never be able to connect to that student.
Yeah.
No
They're
way.
literally
Yeah, no.
jumping to get out of your line of
Was
sight.
it a cartoonish moment where the student was kind of fat and he was like very obvious from behind the pillar?
Yeah, it was a pole.
You could see him. You could see his body on both sides of a thin metal
and he
pole.
thinks he's hiding.
That's a thin pole. That's all I have.
Please don't discipline me again.
But I've seen that time and time again in different situations, but the same thing about avoiding a teacher, avoiding this. Like, there's no way you're going to be able to connect to that person and make an impression on them, which is the whole point of the career. So-
Here's maybe a difficult question, and we can cut that out if you want. Your wife is a local, right?
Yeah.
Would you send your kids to school here?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I know.
I'd probably go for international school. I mean, schools are better now than before, but I'd probably go for international school just because I have colleagues and I've seen their practices that I wouldn't recommend people expose their children to. Just yelling at the top of your lungs to students as a daily habit
Right.
is just such
Yeah,
a
what's
bad
it do
thing
to their
do.
self-confidence
Yeah.
and
You
how
know?
they connect with adults and how they learn from adults?
Yeah, have
Totally,
you met me?
and-
That's what I was taught my entire life, and look at me now.
dude. Yeah, I went to a Catholic all boys school.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Jerry,
Like mine
you
at
should-
least was mixed, but it was still like it was the same shit. Getting yelled at the top of your lungs.
It was
for-
normal to get yelled at. I
Yeah.
remember when I was in primary school, I remember being in the swimming pool, and if someone did something wrong, the teacher would make the kid stand on the edge of the pool and touch his toes, and he would smack him into the pool.
Yeah.
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 I liked it so much, I kept playing up, you know? Dude, thank you so much for coming on today. It was awesome. I'm
Thanks,
really
man.
excited to
Really
get you
happy
on
to be
here.
here.
And
Yeah,
was,
man. Thank you so much. Thanks for
appreciate
hosting us at your place too. Lovely place. If you want to have the address, it's okay. Put the music on.